Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Insiders projected 2025 starting lineup will leave Steelers fans depressed. Few have earned greater credibility covering the Steelers than Mark Kaboly. He now covers the team for the Pat McAfee Show and has continued to become one of the better insiders for the club in the Pittsburgh media. Kaboly recently had a thread on X where he hosted a questions and answers segment. Some of the answers he provided on the future outlook of the Steelers could make fans furious. While change is on the way for the club in the upcoming offseason, some want more than others. When you look at things originating out of closed doors, the Steelers feel they are only a piece or two away from contending. Fans might scoff at the idea since they have seen the same repeat failures. Kaboly has a great sense of what is happening within the Steelers organization. Kaboly and many of his fellow media members believe the Steelers are picking Justin Fields as the starting quarterback in 2025. That should make most of their fan base over the moon with joy. Most things are against Russell Wilson returning to Pittsburgh, let alone him remaining the starter. Either way, this projected starting lineup might not be suitable for success next season. When it comes to the offensive line, Kaboly has a clear outcome there. It's a gamble starting two young tackles who haven't shown they are the long-term answers yet. With that in mind, they must give Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu their respective opportunities. The heftiest part of the trenches is the interior players. Hopefully, they don't sustain injuries. Trying to figure out who will catch the ball next season could be tricky since George Pickens has become a name in the rumor mill. Christian Kirk is a refreshing name mentioned since the club had trade interest in him before the deadline. Nothing else major, but nearly running it back with the same offense might be a choice that costs them any hope of success. Here is where things could get interesting for the Steelers in the offseason. We know there are big contracts on the defensive side of the ball, but don't expect the spending to stop. Mike Tomlin loves to cater to his defense, and a zebra can't change their stripes. Although there are not too many changes that will get fans excited, there could be some alterations. Larry Ogunjobi becoming a cap casualty seems cut and dry. Kaboly throws DJ Jones out there as a likely replacement. That would be baffling as the upcoming free agent has already surpassed his 30th birthday. Jones also only had one sack this past season, which is half a sack less than Ogunjobi. Spending more money on defense for someone like Jones would be unwise. Other than adding Jones, this defense is mostly unchanged. A hot name in Pittsburgh right now is Corey Trice. The young cornerback played well during the Steelers' slide at the end of the campaign, which seems to have earned him a starting opportunity at training camp. Expect more of the same from this defense. An inconsistent bunch of elite players who will let you down. With another disastrous conclusion to the Steelers' season, many fans hope the offseason will see plenty of changes. While the top decision-makers within the organization sift through their problems to create a better team, it is always fun to look ahead. The coming months are still in the planning stages for the franchise, but going through a mock offseason could provide clarity. Make no mistake, the Steelers have plenty of options to explore in free agency and the draft. They can improve their team if they wish to get their club to another level. Right now, they have roughly $52 million in cap space, but as shown in this article, they have plenty of avenues to open more spending money. They might need it if they want to implement enough change. Pleasing every fan in Pittsburgh is impossible, but most should be pleased with this outcome. Let's kick off this mock offseason by cutting some players loose. There are some obvious choices to fall as cap casualties. As listed above, the numbers next to them are the amount of money they will open in cap space once they get cut. Some notable cuts are Preston Smith, Cole Holcomb, and Larry Ogunjobi. None of them did a good enough job to warrant their current contracts. Minkah Fitzpatrick hasn't been great over the past 2 years, but he gets his contract reworked to provide some cap room. TJ Watt finds an extension with the Steelers that brings some cap relief. After all these moves, Pittsburgh situates itself with a little over $99 million to spend in the offseason. Before they turn their attention to free agency, they must bring back some of their own. Russell Wilson believes this player was Pittsburgh Steelers' unheralded star in 2025. The Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver room struggled outside George Pickens, but at least one positive emerged from the room. Third-year wide receiver Calvin Austin III started to break out. He set a career high in receptions, touchdowns, and receiving yards, putting up 548 yards and 4 touchdowns while being a solid punt returner on top of that. On the Pat McAfee show, his quarterback, Russell Wilson, praised Austin as being the star of the Steelers' offense that no one is talking about nearly enough. "When you've got playmakers around you, it always makes it fun," Wilson said. "George Pickens is such a freak out there. Pat Freiermuth, I thought, had a great year. I think the biggest star to the season was Calvin Austin. His emergence and his work ethic. Those guys allow you to cook in a way." Austin suffered a Lisfranc injury that wiped out his entire rookie season. In his second year, he was the fourth receiver who could downfield at times but looked a step slow compared to his Memphis self, and in his third season, it all finally came to fruition. Austin now looks towards a contract year and hopes to become a key part of what the Steelers do in their passing game once again. Pittsburgh Steelers urged to sign crafty Pro Bowl wide receiver. Pro Football Focus believes the Pittsburgh Steelers are the best fit in free agency for Buffalo Bills wide receiver Amari Cooper. Cooper was traded by the Cleveland Browns, and during his time with the Bills, Cooper did not make a huge impact. He put up just 547 receiving yards this season. Cooper, however, is a 5-time Pro Bowler and still looks like one of the best route runners in the NFL. That is something the Steelers could look to add to a room that needs an infusion of talent. The Steelers were actively shopping for receiving help at the trade deadline, with reports linking them to several options, including the former Brown. Pairing the even-keeled Cooper with George Pickens would be a prudent move to calm the Steelers' receiver room and split defensive attention, they wrote. Cooper is now 30 years old, but his route-running style, opposite George Pickens, could work. The Steelers just needed players who could win throughout their routes, and Cooper has still done that, even with a production dip. However, the team might want to go younger at wide receiver rather than going out and landing an older veteran like Cooper. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Amari Cooper? Leave your opinion in the comments.